think we're just doing viewer tattoos here today. A little something slower paced from the last one.
All right. So this one is from Clint. Says, "What's up, Remy? I wanted to share a few of my pieces with you, and hopefully get your feedback. The Michael has been added onto and made into a sleeve, and the Gabriel has been made into a half sleeve. But these are focal points. I love what you're doing and love watching your journey." So, angels.
I mean, okay, so, I like parts of this. These, like, action figure guys always bug me. Like, I say this all the time, but, like, these, like, they're part of a scene. So I think that if you're going to do these guys where it's, like, the full body like this, they should almost be, like, a back piece scene.
I was going to say the same thing. Back or really large thigh.
Because, like, there just isn't enough space to do the whole body on a forearm or like inner bicep or outer bicep, even like where you get to put the amount of detail that will age well. Because like that face is going to be like, it may, okay, so maybe it won't age bad, maybe it will, but even right now from across the room it's going to look a little bit like cauliflower to me.
Yeah.
Right. Whereas remember the other day when New Allie over there, her leg tattoo, even though it was done by a fairly rookie tattooer, it's like because it was done with, big and bold and a lot of contrast, you can read that thing from down the road.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you can see that thing from any distance. Now, this was done by a much better tattooer. Mm-hmm. Like, it's not even close. This guy comparable. Who did this is fucking awesome.
Yeah, he's an amazing tattooer.
Like, this is a great tattoo. And I bet you if you asked him, like, he would probably agree with me on this, but the forearm is the perfect spot for a portrait.
Yes, for a face.
For a face.
Like,
so when you close up on this face, it's like it's very well done for the size it is.
Beautifully done for the size
but like
it is.
that is so hard to do it at that size. So I want to give a lot of props, but like it could have been so much better if they had just done the face.
If this thing was big on a back, I would have been absolutely, I mean, it's killer already, but like it just allows for so much more detail, even like a big thigh piece.
Yeah.
Like that gives you enough space to do one of these even.
No one has a big forearm.
No.
Like
no one has.
I'm a pretty big guy now.
Yeah.
I'm a decent sized guy, and my forearms, they don't get that big. Like your forearm's never going to be.
Oh, you have tiny forearms though.
But like it doesn't matter. Like like my forearm's way bigger than yours.
Oh, yeah.
But there's not space.
No.
There's not space to do it the justice that you would like. Otherwise, like I really like the color play.
Yeah.
Like I really, really do like the color in this first piece a lot. The reds and the blues. Mm-hmm. So, like the sun rays behind it are really cool too. They did it cool. But I worry with those because I can tell those are fresh. They may be a little too light. I know what those shades are going to heal out to. They're going to be very, very, very light. And I think if you had gone a little bit darker, probably would have made for a better contrast. Like I like the darkness that he has in the edges here.
Yeah.
But they think they probably should have just built that everywhere because that would have healed to the more medium tone that it looks like at top. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I think it would have pushed him out more where he's fairly light. But they got some really cool details in the armor and stuff too. There's a lot of cool textures here, and it's a compliment to the artist that he was able to get that much into this piece at the size it is. Because
Right.
those feathers look really well done too.
I mean, and I think it should be normalized and okay for tattoo artists to tell you that's not a good idea. And
I was
you shouldn't
told
get
that.
offended. I think there's nothing wrong with, I mean, maybe the artist didn't do this and maybe they wanted to do this size. Like, who knows? But, like, if someone came to me with this, I'm a new artist, I would probably be like, oh, can I do that? And I'd talk to Remy, and he'd be like, that's too small. Do a portrait.
This is your prime portrait
Right.
spot.
But, like, even as someone who would, want a tattoo, I would be intimidated by doing it this small, and I would try and tell the person, like, hey, like, this is really hard. This is a better image for somewhere bigger. Like,
Yeah.
do you want to just do a portrait do you want to put this on your back instead? Do you want to put
Well, you
this on
can
your
still-
thigh instead?
But like the information is the same. So like, who is this? Archangel? What was his name?
It's Michael and
Michael?
Gabriel.
Whatever. Okay, so whichever one of them it is, if you do a
I think this
portrait
one's
of that,
Michael.
it's still the same tattoo.
Yeah.
To like the eye, it's like, oh, that's the guy. You know what I mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't change. It's the same thing if it. We'll say it's Batman, right?
Yeah.
Now if it's a Batman standing and you get his whole outfit in there, like that's the impression is the same whether it's a portrait of Batman or like the character or figurine of Batman.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like it's still Batman, and you want the one that's most recognizable, most easy. You know, like the easiest.
Yeah.
And this one is.
But this is like this is a very like iconic.
Oh, I'm sure it's religious
like,
art or
it
whatever.
is. It's as I believe this is Michael killing sickness or killing evil. It's like a really popular motif. I just think that
Do it on the back.
or a thigh.
Listen,
Again,
tattoo
big
rules,
thigh, big back.
The rules that work best for tattooing do not change just because you have some significance for the imagery.
Yeah.
It's always the case. It's indifferent to whatever. Like some things make better tattoos than others.
Mm-hmm.
And this is one of the things that people have to figure out when they get into tattooing. It's always like, oh, that's a cool picture, but it doesn't make for a good tattoo.
Yeah, I mean, but to get this scene, what I'm gonna say is like you can't have this iconic scene as a portrait. So like maybe you do something else as a portrait,
Or do it as a back piece.
and do it as a back piece.
Or big thigh piece,
Yeah,
like you said,
that's what
back
I'm
of your
saying.
ass cheek. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Do something like that.
There's ways to still get it. Let's move on. I'd say this one's Gabriel.
Well, whoever it is, I don't like it as much.
It's stylistically. I
He
think
needs a
this is
background.
more readable
Not
at
much.
the size, but barely.
Yeah, he's too light.
Yeah.
Like his shading and it's just too light.
Yeah, I just think like stylistically, it's a.
Is the
a
same
little
artist
more,
that did this?
I
Or
don't
did
know.
you
I
say?
can't tell. I think
The
the
first
styles
one.
look a little different.
The first one looks a lot better.
Yeah,
His legs look a little gibbled, and his anatomy doesn't look quite right.
might have been the reference to.
Well,
Though.
look at how his legs are.
Yeah.
They don't look like they're attached to his body. They don't.
No.
And I also don't think that the wings needed those hard lines either.
Well, that's what I'm a little like.
Like it's very
I'm a little
strange.
confused about some choices in like this
The wings
one.
look like armored
Like
plating.
there's lines all throughout this one, and I don't think there's lines throughout the other one.
Well, I
as
mean,
much.
but like he has soft edges over his body, and then these fucking thick, dark lines
Well, he's
around the
got
wings.
thick dark lines here too, right?
Yeah, but that's obscured with shading,
Yeah.
right? So they shaded off of those lines so they don't
Definitely
stand
bizarre.
out. What stands out is that fucking soft, these are supposed to be soft wings.
Yeah.
They're not supposed to be like icebergs, like icicles or something. They look very sharp.
They do look
hard.
really sharp, and again, the face is really nicely done.
The face is the best part.
Yeah.
But I like the first one more.
Right.
But it's the same problem for me. These are portraits.
too small
you know,
for
they're
you.
supposed to be portraits on those spots.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So we'll go on to the next one. This one says, got my first tattoo by an artist in Taiwan who also took the picture after finishing. Check it out. And this one was from Trent. The photo I do not like. It's just like they really washed it out.
I don't know. What is this?
It's a tape
But like, what is
and
this?
a flower.
And like, what is this whole thing?
It's a tape and a flower.
But like, this has to be like some kind of a. This was stylistically done this way, I would
yeah,
think.
it's just really.
It
like,
looks
strange
poorly
floral.
done. But it looks poorly done.
Yeah.
Like immediately, I'm thinking, like most of these lines aren't tattooed. Like most of the lines are not in there. But then my thinking is that was done on purpose.
I think these are those fine line artists that really make me angry.
But like, fine line is one thing, but like those aren't lined. There's
I know.
lines in there that are not lined.
They're gonna fall out.
They're not in there now. Like, but my thinking is that this was done intentionally.
Oh yeah.
Right? It's like there's certain styles of tattoos where it's hard to even give any kind of a firm judgment on them because like within stylistic takes on things, like some of these things are done on purpose.
Yeah.
But I don't know why you'd want to do a tattoo on purpose this way because as not in there as that looks now and how it's like, sort of looks like it's kind of disintegrating already, like over time, it's really not going to make sense.
I'm curious.
You're not going to know what this is. There's not enough structure to it to tell you long term what it is, because it's not going to stay exactly as it is.
Well, no.
No tattoo does.
Like what did Allie told me the other day? Like lines, like they double in size if they're in there properly.
Well, that's not all they do. All ink will get thinner and
Yeah.
disperse a little bit. So if you don't have things in hard, then they won't. That's why that saying "bold will hold."
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and a lot of this is not in there fresh. And I know that was done on purpose. I could tell that was done on purpose. But it's not going to make for a tattoo that makes sense in a handful of years. I know that sounds crazy coming from the guy who has color on blackout, but like even in the thinking with my work that we've done has been, it has to be, you had to adhere to all the rules, right? Bold will hold, and contrast and clarity, and you're doing second passes on all this work to make sure that it stays. And this is like, let's not put it in there on purpose.
Right.
So for me, it's like, it goes directly against my thinking and all of the methodology that goes into creating a cohesive image in my blackouts. This went, we're not doing any of that. In fact, we're not even going to run the line. You know what I mean? Like, it looks intentionally poorly done. I don't know. I also don't like the placement at all.
It just doesn't allow for you to do anything else on that arm.
Well, yeah, this is the arm now.
Yeah.
Like, you can do another one of these lower down, and then that's it. Like,
yeah.
But it's just such a... I have a hard time with ignorant placements and, like, ignorant tattooing in general, because, like, my thinking is always goes to, this is bad, but it's hard to do. Like, this would be hard to do on purpose.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like, it's good, but I don't like it.
Yeah.
It's weird. I don't know. There's this whole avant-garde kind of ignorant style tattooing thing that I think it's of our times that we're in, where people are just trying to experiment in new ways, but like, I don't know.
I like ignorant style better than this.
This is a take on ignorant though.
Well, but this is also like, it's fine line floral, but when you do fine line floral properly, it stays.
Yeah, but it
looks good.
But it looks like they did this intentionally to be that flimsy.
But like, so like there are artists who do fine line floral that it looks delicate, but it ages well. But
Yeah.
I don't think it's as easy as this.
I don't think that I understand. Like, I think this is a high art of some kind.
No, I don't know. I just think it's silly. We'll move on, because yes. This next one says, "Hi Remy, hope you're good and having a nice time." Debatable. I would love to hear what you think about my werewolf tattoo and the toilet roll. They know. Personally, I like him even if I'm not 100% happy with the outcome of the teeth and eyes.
You know, werewolf tattoo, something I actually thought and talked about a lot. There are no werewolf tattoos.
Well,
like there.
here's a werewolf.
No, well, this is. I mean, we'll talk about that in a minute. But there's no werewolves, because like, you may do a werewolf, but like, it doesn't look like it. It looks like a gorilla or a bear or a wolf, or like it's really hard, because I think there's so many different looks of werewolves,
Versions of what
and
they think it should look like.
But they also don't really look like anything either. Like, unless you have the whole body werewolf in there, ironically.
Yeah, this is just a wolf.
Well, I mean, it looks like a very angry bear or a boar or something. It looks more like a boar than anything. Right? Like, you wouldn't, like, if I didn't have the context, I wouldn't know that's a werewolf at all.
Yeah.
I would have no idea that's a werewolf. No, I would have no idea.
I think the graveyard scene kind of makes it a little more spooky.
I mean, he could be a spooky bear. I've seen Spooky Bear. Right? It's the same thing with Bigfoot. Like, all the people who think they found Bigfoot, it's like, yeah, you were drunk as fuck and you saw a bear. Or you were drunk as fuck and you saw a big monkey.
Or a moth.
Well,
Some
in different
moths.
parts of the world, right? Like, it could be always a fucking wolf standing on his hind legs. Like, You never know. I'm not saying there is no Bigfoot, by the way. He may well be out there. Could have been a hairy dude.
We got Sasquatch in Canada, man. Or, yeah.
Depending on where you are, you know. But it's the same problem with werewolf for me. It's like, werewolf is cool. I want a werewolf tattoo. Like, Rick and I have talked about, that'll be the last thing Rick and I do, probably. We've talked about doing this werewolf tattoo.
Where are you going to put it?
On my leg somewhere. Like, we've been talking about this. Believe it or not, he and I have been talking about this werewolf tattoo for 3 years. It's the same thing when we were talking about doing this sleeve. We talked about doing this sleeve for like 4 years before it started. So, like, I mentioned werewolves. I was like, how come there are no werewolves? And Rick was like, oh, I've always wanted to do a werewolf. And, like, we've kind of casually been talking about doing one forever. But the problem is, this is a reality. Like, it doesn't have to be done this gray and, like, blobby. But, like, it's going to look like a fucking bear or something.
The fact that it's not werewolfy aside, I like this tattoo. I think everything needs to be darker.
Everything that's wrong with this is pretty easy to fix.
Yeah.
And the best parts of it are, ironically, not the werewolf. The graveyard is...
love the graveyard.
The graveyard is the only thing that's clear.
Yeah.
The rest of it is just a mound
the graveyard is dark enough.
of fuzz and texture and a couple of eyes that don't really get to showcase.
Right?
Immediately,
the eyes could be so much prettier.
Immediately, I'm making the eyes red.
Yeah,
like
right?
Immediately.
And then I'm putting some more darkness in that fur.
Sharpen up the teeth.
Yeah.
Get in here with some fucking dark shades. I'm not necessarily feeling a liner for this, but definitely increase the dark around the eyes and the fucking snout there and inside the mouth and
I think throwing color
around
in
the shape
eyes
of
is a really good idea, like a red glow.
Around the shape of its fucking ears and stuff there. Like, it's just, everything's getting lost. I really like the size.
Yeah, I like the placement, the size, I like the scene. I like the whole like look of it. I just don't.
I tell you this probably every day now. It needs to take the bicep.
Yeah.
Remember what I told Dave with that lion? He comes up to me with this fucking grapefruit-sized lion. He's like, I'm thinking about this size. I'm like, fuck, no, you're not. You're not thinking about anything. Here's the size. You take the fucking arm.
Yes, I know.
That is the fucking tattoo. And it's
and
not
this happens
harder.
To me every time I do a large tattoo. I think it's big enough, and then all of the girls in the shop are like, bigger! And I'm like, what? And they're like, bigger!
Well,
and
it's
they're
not
right in the end.
It's not harder when it's bigger. It's probably easier.
It is easier when
And some
it's
things
bigger.
need to be a certain size.
Yeah.
And if you did this werewolf at the size that Dave was going to do that lion the other day, it's like all of a sudden his snout is like this tiny little nose, right? They didn't get the ears in here good enough, though. Like, I do see a little ear up there, but it kind of just looks, I don't know, like an afterthought. Like they were like, done it, and then they was like, oh no, we didn't put an ear in here, and then just did some dark shade. You know, yeah, that was one. A guy was trying to get that space bear, and he wanted the fucking bear's whole like torso, and I was like, finally, like poor Alicia was
the cat's ass
trying to fucking talk to the guy, and he's not listening to reason, and I just stepped in and was like, you're not getting a bear's belly. It's not happening. It's not being tattooed. You're getting the big fucking bear's face. They ended up doing a bear face and then
like a planet.
A planet and then the paw on the planet.
Yeah, and it
way
looks
better.
It looks so good.
Way better.
Yeah.
No, you're not getting a bear belly.
Yeah, why do you want a big thing of fur?
No one's getting a big bear's belly on them. Anyway.
Or a cat's ass.
Yeah, they got the contrast right in a way. It's just there's too much middle tone in the actual fur of this thing.
I agree.